Hello and welcome to this webinar, Healthy Eating During the Primary School Years, which will look at balanced nutrition for children aged 5 to 11 years. It's so important that we establish healthy eating habits in our children now so that they will have them for the rest of their lives. And I really hope you find the information within this webinar useful. This webinar contains general nutrition advice and is based on the most up-to-date nutrition guidelines at the time of recording, but please do speak with your medical professional if you have been given any specialised dietary advice or have any individual concerns about your child. A little bit about me, my name's Jill and I am a registered dietitian working in Northern Ireland, and I'm part of the Public Health Dietitians group. There's so much information about nutrition out there, it can be confusing to know where to seek help and take advice from. But dietitians are the only nutrition professional to be regulated by law, so you can trust a dietitian for nutrition advice. I love walking, I love going for coffee, and I'm often found in the kitchen because I love baking and cooking. And my favourite meal has to be a Christmas dinner. What we're going to cover today is the Eatwell guide and what is actually a healthy diet for your child, food labelling and how to make healthier choices, vitamins, does your child need a multivitamin, what does the evidence actually say, and what do health experts recommend. We'll look at child-sized portions. As a parent or carer, it can be very difficult to know how much is too much and how little is too little. So we'll give you a rough guide. We'll also look at tips to encourage healthy eating for the whole family, so not just for your children, but as a family. And then we'll also look at physical activity and exercise, which is so important, again, to establish good habits and patterns, which will continue on into childhood. And finally, we'll look at some useful resources for you to take away and look at in more detail if you wish. So we're going to start with the Eatwell guide. Children require a varied and balanced diet to provide all of the energy and the nutrients that they need for growth, development and activity. The Eatwell guide represents a balanced diet and it applies to children over the age of 5 years, including right up through adolescence and into adulthood. Therefore, remember that the information that we're going to look at over the next few slides applies to probably most of your family and not just children. But it is important to note that it doesn't apply to children under the age of 2 as they have different nutritional needs. And from the age of 2 to 5, children are gradually moving towards the Eatwell guide in terms of what they eat. So this just shows us the proportions of the different foods and food groups that are needed to have a well-balanced and healthy diet. So the proportions are not what every single meal has to look like, but more over the course of, say, a day or a week. You might want the proportions of the different food groups to look a bit like this. So we're going to look at it in sections now. But really the key here is variety. You want a mix of the different foods in the proportions shown for the different food groups to stay healthy for you and your child. The first section we're going to look at here is the fruit and vegetable section, which is the largest section on the Eatwell guide, and it includes all fruit and vegetables. So this includes fresh, frozen, tinned and own juice, not in syrup, and also dried fruit and vegetables. It can also include 150 ml of a pure unsweetened fruit juice as well. Many of us know that we should be aiming for 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day, although many of us aren't actually meeting this target. A portion is roughly about a handful of any fruit or vegetables, or 80 grams, which is about 1 medium apple, banana, pear or orange, a dessert bowl of salad, 3 heaped tablespoons of vegetables, or a smaller amount, 30 grams of dried fruit like raisins or apricots, or 150 ml of a fruit juice or a smoothie, which counts as a maximum of 1 portion every day. Fruit and veg are essential for all of the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals that they provide, and eating the rainbow and a variety of colours is always recommended. They contain things like vitamin A and C and antioxidants and fibre, which we'll look at in a bit more detail later. Starchy carbohydrates then are the next largest section on the Eatwell guide, and these are the foods that provide your most of your energy. So it's really important to base our meals on these foods and include at least one of them with every mealtime. So included within this group are things like potatoes, breakfast cereals, bread, pasta, rice, couscous, yams, chapatis. And this section provides energy, it provides B vitamins, fiber, and things like iron, zinc, and calcium. So for children aged between 5 and 11, you're aiming for around 6 servings a day through meals and snacks. I mentioned fiber. So what is it? Fiber is basically the non-digestible part of food. It's found in plant foods such as cereals, vegetables and fruit, especially in the skins. And what it does is it absorbs water as it passes through the gut, and it makes stools easier to pass. So the benefits of this is that it helps to prevent constipation and also reduce the risk of things like heart disease, certain types of cancer, especially bowel cancer, and reduce the risk of obesity. Keeps us full for longer. When we're increasing fibre in the diet, it's also really important to think about fluid. It only will work if your child is drinking enough. So offer about 6 to 8 small cups of fluid every day, preferably water or a well-diluted unsweetened fruit juice or squash or milk drinks. Fibre-rich foods there, where can you find it? Breakfast cereals, so high fibre varieties like Weetabix, Oatabix, porridge, bran flakes or others. In wholemeal, granary or whole grain bread. They contain the most fibre, but if your child isn't a fan of breads like that, you could try a 50-50 bread as an alternative to white bread. Also in things like potatoes, offering baked potatoes, jacket potatoes, potato wedges, or boiled potatoes with the skins on instead of, say, mashed potato or chips with no skins. Fruit and vegetables, aiming for your 5 a day. Peanut butter, nuts, those are good sources of fibre, and choosing things like, even when you're choosing biscuits and cakes, things like going for digestives, oat cakes, flapjacks or hobnobs are better choices than white refined flour choices. And you're aiming for roughly 20 grams per day for your child. You don't want them to have too much, as it can fill your child up too much and limit their intake of other foods, which are all needed as part of a balanced diet. So how can you add more fibre to your child's diet? You could, for example, go for the whole grain cereals that we mentioned and add, say, a portion of fruit like raisins or chopped banana to it. You could also go for a wholemeal toast with maybe peanut butter on it. Fruit and veg, fresh fruit and veg, great snack. Go for wholemeal versions of snacks like crackers, tinned fruit, a mini packet of dried fruit, high fibre breads. Lunchtimes, you're going to try and go for a wholemeal or a whole grain option. So even a wholemeal roll or a pita that's wholemeal, wheaten bread, wholemeal crackers, plenty of salad or vegetable sticks, or maybe even a muesli bar or something will help to get fibre at lunch. And finally, dinner, there is an example, beans on toast, or we have here, a spaghetti bolognese or meatballs, bulk it out with red lentils or add a tin of kidney beans. Serve with wholemeal pasta or bread, or serve a jacket potato with the skin on. The next section here of the Eatwell guide is the protein section, and the foods included within this are things like beans, pulses, fish, eggs, dal, nuts, seeds, meat, chicken, poultry, and corn meat alternatives. So children should aim to have about 2 to 3 servings per day from this group. Two fish should be offered twice a week, one of which should be an oily fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, or herring. The main reason for offering these foods is they all provide protein, which is essential for growth and repair. So other things that these foods provide are iron, zinc, magnesium, B vitamins, vitamin A, and omega-3 fatty acids. So all of these are essential for your child's diet, and these foods, it's important to have a good range of these foods in the diet, and even trying to go for a meat-free day a week and go for pulses or a nice bean burrito or a nice vegetarian curry. When it comes to these foods, thinking about trying to reduce the intake of processed meats. So things like burgers or chicken dippers, chicken nuggets, or sausages. And the reason for that is that there's evidence shows that there is a link between a high intake of those kinds of processed meats and the risk of bowel cancer. So really important to try and reduce maybe how often in the week your child is having those foods, and try to go for some healthier choices. And even when it comes to cooking methods, trying to maybe grill or cook in the oven instead of frying in oil. When it comes to dairy and alternatives, this includes milk, cheese, and yogurt, and all of the dairy alternatives that you can see in supermarkets now, where you have milks made from maybe soya, oat, nut, and rice milks. Children should aim for 3 portions a day of these foods, and the reason for that is that they provide calcium, which is needed for healthy development of bones and teeth. These foods also provide protein and iodine and B vitamins as well. If your child has a cow's milk allergy or is following a vegan or vegetarian diet, it's really important to choose the dairy alternatives which are fortified with calcium and iodine. So do seek advice from your GP or a dietitian if you require support about this. Vitamin D then helps to absorb calcium in the body. So the current recommendation from the government is that all children should take a 10 microgram supplement of vitamin D. In terms of oils and spreads, you'll see there it's the tiniest section of the Eatwell guide, and it is just a little sliver on the guide. And this represents unsaturated oils and spreads. So those are ones that are like rapeseed oil and olive oil, or healthy fats like things like avocado. These are healthier because they're usually from plant sources, and they can help to actually reduce cholesterol in the blood and therefore look after our heart health. So it's important to try and get most of our fat from unsaturated oils instead of saturated sources like butter or coconut oil. But remember that all types of fat are high in energy and calories and should be limited in the diet. Eat less often and in small amounts. These foods, as you can see on the screen here, are things like crisps, chocolate, sauces and condiments, biscuits, pastries, sweets, and ice cream. These foods are high in fat, salt, and or sugar and should be limited. And as you can see, they're not even included in the main section of the Eatwell guide, but located outside. The reason for that is that we know that we're going to consume these foods in some aspect, but it's just that we should be having them less often and in small amounts as they're not needed for a healthy diet. So why? Let's have a look at traffic light labeling to see these different foods, how they can be high in fat, salt, and sugar. So this label here is giving you an example where the product is low in fat. So you can see there that it's green for fat and saturated fat. And that means that it's something that is low in fat. Sugar, however, you can see is red, and that means that it's high in sugar. And salt is amber or orange, and that means that it is a medium amount of salt within this product. So overall, you're looking for products which have more greens. Some ambers are fine. And if it's red on it on the label, you want to think about maybe having this less often and in smaller amounts. It's good and an easy way to compare, for example, 2 cereal bars to have a look and see which one might be the healthier choice, or breakfast cereals or yogurts, whatever it is you're looking at. But it's important to also think about the serving size that is listed. If it's, for example, breakfast cereal and it says 30 grams, but you're actually pouring a 60-gram portion, double that, and you have to think about that in terms of what it's providing. The traffic light system makes it nice and easy to see at a glance what a product is like, and most products actually have these on the labels nowadays. So why is too much sugar not good for us? We all know it can lead to tooth decay and also contribute to weight gain and obesity-related health conditions in later life as well. So maximum sugar recommendations for children are 19 grams for children aged 4 to 6 years, or the equivalent of 6 3-gram sugar cubes, 24 grams for children aged 7 to 10, which is the equivalent of 8 sugar cubes, and 30 grams for children 11 plus, including adults. So that's equivalent to 10 sugar cubes. Important to note, this is a maximum, not a target. So to give you a bit of an indicator how much sugar is in certain foods, I thought I'd give you some examples. So on the left here, we have an ice cream, just a 1 scoop cone, and within that ice cream there is 4 sugar cubes, and that's with no sauce, no toppings, and it's just 1 scoop. On the right there, we have a regular chocolate bar, and it has over 8 cubes of sugar. So it's got 25 grams of sugar within it, which would be the full maximum intake for a 7 to 10-year-old child. A small frog-shaped chocolate bar has over 3 cubes of sugar as well, just for your information. A fun-sized pack of sweets we have here is, again, 4 sugar cubes within that, which is half a 4 to 6-year-old child's sugar limit for the day. And then a well-known juice pouch has 3 cubes of sugar there. So an easy switch is to go to a no added sugar version. Breakfast cereals can contain a lot of sugar. This chocolate rice puff cereal contains 2 sugar cubes. It used to be more, but it has now got 30% less sugar than it used to have. And this split pot yogurt has 7 cubes of sugar. So you can see how easy it would be over a day to exceed the maximum recommended levels. So it's something to be aware of whenever you're choosing things like snacks for your child, as remember, a lot of sugar is already hidden in products like sauces and baked beans and tin soups. So it's just being aware how it all adds up. If you want to find out how much sugar is in some of the items in your house that maybe your child has regularly, you can download this Better Health Food Scanner app and scan the barcode on the product. It tells you how much sugar, fat and salt is within the item, and it can help your child as well to make healthier choices. So that app is free to download on your smartphone. A little bit about fluid then. Within this little diagram, it includes things like water. It does contain milk. It contains some fruit juice, so a total of 150 mils of a fruit juice or smoothie, and it also contains tea and coffee. Aim to provide your child with 6 to 8 glasses a day. You might need more in hot weather or after extra physical activity. So aim really to give your child a drink with every meal and snack. In terms of sugary drinks, they really should be discouraged from both a healthy eating and a dental health aspect. In terms of sugar-free soft drinks, they really should be limited to meal times as well, because the acid in them can cause dental erosion. Any squash or juice should be well diluted in 1 part squash to 10 parts water. Moving on then to portion size. So a 5-year-old child should eat roughly half of an adult portion. You can move up and down from this depending on the age of your child. Older children will eat probably more than that, younger children less. There's very little official guidance about precise portion sizes for children, so you'll need to use your own judgment really. And that's because children's appetites and intakes will vary. It can depend on their gender, their age, their height, if they're having a growth spurt, how active they are that day, and it might change day to day. So just be guided by your child. Often it's easier to provide a smaller amount and then add more as requested. But just bear in mind, trying to offer them that healthy balance of the foods from the Eatwell guide. So a third fruit and veg, a third starchy foods like bread, potatoes and rice, and a third dairy and protein. Using plates and cutlery that match their size. This is an easy way to make measuring out their portion sizes easier, especially with younger children. So for example, using a side plate, you can give a smaller plate or bowl, and it makes it much easier to give them a child-sized portion. Remember, they can always ask for seconds, and that's fine. You'll reduce your food waste, and never force your child to clear their plate as well. If they say they're full, they probably are. A couple of other tips for portion control are to try and establish a regular meal and snack pattern. If, for example, your child says they're hungry whenever you're cooking the dinner, try just giving them a glass of water rather than a snack, as that'll keep them going until the meal time and fill them up in the short term, but also it won't ruin their appetite for the main meal, which extra snacking can do. Be careful of pre-packaged portions. Remember, in processed foods that the portion sizes listed are generally for adult portions, which would be more than your child would need. A reminder for us all to eat slowly. It takes approximately 20 minutes for your brain to actually send the signals that you're full. So it's a good idea to encourage the whole family to eat slower and recognize when you're full. And finally, here is to reduce distractions. It can be very tempting to either give your child a tablet, a phone, or put the TV on. But that can be very distracting and they might not notice those signals telling them that they're full. Then it moves on to here to knowing your responsibility. As an adult, your responsibility is to provide a safe environment for your child to eat, to decide what food is offered and to make sure your child is offered a nutritious balance of food, and to decide when the snacks and meals are served, so something every 2 to 3 hours. Your child's responsibility then is to decide how much they want to eat and if they want to try something new. So it's important to establish who is responsible for what. Vitamins then. The current recommendations are that all children and adults should actually be taking a vitamin D supplement of 10 micrograms a day in the winter months. So that's from about late March or early April to the end of September. The majority of people should be able to make the vitamin D that they need through the summer from sunlight on their skin. So you can choose to not take a supplement for vitamin D during those months. If your child though is exhibiting fussy eating traits, so that's, for example, missing whole food groups out of the Eatwell guide or refusing to eat any fruit or vegetables, you might want to consider buying a multivitamin. If your child doesn't consume a lot of iron-rich foods, so things like red meat, beans, lentils, or eggs, you should check that your multivitamin has got iron within it. A lot of the multivitamins don't, but one that does is Well Kid and can be bought from most of the large supermarkets. If your child doesn't take any calcium-containing foods like milk, cheese, and yogurts, you could also try an additional calcium supplement. If you're concerned that your child is maybe not meeting their iron, calcium, or vitamin requirements, it's worth speaking to your GP or a dietitian for additional support. The British Dietetic Association has some great resources, so you can add up your child's calcium or iron intake and see if they are meeting the requirements or if you think they might need a supplement. And I'll link those in the description box. Some tips then to encourage healthy eating for the whole family really at home. The first one is sticking to routine, encouraging a 3 meal a day and a couple of snacks as the meal pattern. We all know that it takes thought, commitment, and planning to eat healthily, and it's not always easy. But feel to prepare, prepare to feel. So make a plan and follow it. For example, maybe make a packed lunch for everybody the night before rather than in the morning when you're rushed. Or if you know you're going to be out in the evening running to swimming lessons or piano or wherever your child is maybe going for an after school club, maybe you've got up and put the slow cooker on so that the dinner cooks all day and is ready for you when you get home. And that means that you're just able to stick to your routine. Make a shopping list, stick to it, and most importantly, so even as far as writing down exactly what you want to buy in your shopping, including what treats you want to buy, and don't add in extra when you're out shopping. Speaking of treats, limit the number of sweet treats in the house. If they're not there, you don't reach for them. So what counts as a treat? A treat is a food that is high in fat, sugar, salt, and calories, but doesn't provide much in terms of the way of nutrition. So we're talking here about things like chocolate, sweets, sugary, fizzy drinks. And remember, maybe try keeping them to the weekends or special occasions and try not to use treats as a reward. So offer a healthy, nutritious snack instead. A snack box is a great idea, particularly maybe at weekends or during summer holidays, where at the start of the day, get your child to make up a snack box together with you and maybe add in some fruit, some crackers, yogurt, maybe one small treat, and that's what they're allowed for the day. And once the box is finished, they can't have any more, and that helps them to regulate their snacking. And remember that fruit and vegetables are much more appealing if they're chopped up nicely. So chop up a bowl of fruit and keep it in the fridge, or maybe chop up, say, red pepper and a carrot, and it's much more just acceptable if it's already prepared. Encourage water and milk to drink during the day. We've already covered this, but offering 6 to 8 glasses of fluid, preferably water or semi-skimmed milk. The use of non-food rewards then. Treat foods shouldn't be a reward for tidying your room or completing a chore, which is maybe the way many of us were brought up. But it's not a healthy way to think about food. Treats should be allowed as a small part of your normal routine, but just be creative and think about what other non-food rewards and treats you could give your child. It might be a trip to the park. It might be an extra 10 minutes to play, either with a sibling or with you. And finally here is to eat together. Sit down and enjoy meal times together. You will all benefit from it. If you're eating breakfast together, your child if you're sitting eating breakfast, your child is more likely to eat theirs too. So speaking of breakfast, definitely sit together, even if it's only for a few minutes. If your children maybe seem too tired to eat, have a look at the bedtime schedule and the routines and make sure they're getting enough sleep, as sleep deprivation will definitely impact food intake. Something small is better than nothing, even if it is a yogurt and a little piece of fruit. It's better than nothing. Not everyone has a big appetite in the morning, so encourage something rather than nothing. Avoid arguments. It can be rushed and a stressful time to get everyone out of the house in the morning. So try and reduce the arguments if you can. So you might want to give your child a choice of having two cereals. So it might be either that they're having Weetabix or they're having Bran Flakes, and they have a choice and take ownership and feel like they're in control, but actually you've got two healthy options being offered. Include a drink. So water and milk are the best choices, but if you're offering fruit juice at breakfast time, limit it to 150 mils, which is just a small glass. Some other nice ideas, which are a bit different, are something like a banana and apricot bagel, a breakfast burrito, or banana porridge with raspberries, and they all look lovely, taken from the Better Health, Healthier Families website. All of them only take about 5 to 10 minutes prep. And it can be useful maybe for days you have a little bit more time, but it can be a bit boring if you're having just toast or cereal every day. So make it a bit more exciting and plan in a couple of nice breakfasts maybe. We have another webinar which looks at lunch and snack ideas. We know it can be very easy to run out of ideas for lunches and snacks. So this will give you loads of different information. So you might want to check it out after you've finished watching this one. A couple of options there taken from it, which are your pizza pita faces and an egg mayo bap. It doesn't have to be just a ham sandwich. So hopefully we'll give you some ideas to get a really nice balanced meal in your child's lunchbox. And remember that school meals are also another option and are generally a well-balanced option as well. Other healthy recipes are available at the Safe Food 101 Square Meals website. Again, I'll link this in the description box and you can get some inspiration for your meals. Again, signposting you to the Better Health, Healthier Family website for more recipes for breakfast, lunch, snacks and dinners. So moving on to physical activity, the current government recommendations are that all children aged between 5 and 18 should be doing 60 minutes of physical activity every day. So this might be walking to school, it could be swimming, it could be playing a sport like football or hockey or netball or rollerblading, it could be dancing or PE class, it could be riding a bike, it could be playing with friends with a ball or with a kite and just out playing. All of it counts towards their 60 minutes a day. Why? There are so many benefits. Firstly, being building confidence and social skills. Secondly, improving concentration and learning. Developing and improving coordination, strengthening muscles and bones. So encourage weight-bearing exercise like running and walking helps to build strength. Improving health and fitness, maintaining a healthy weight, making you feel good, feel better about yourself, and also improving sleep. So there's many different reasons why we should try and increase our activity levels in children and also as adults. So just to signpost you to some other sources of information that you can actually trust, all of the sources listed here have trustworthy information. I will add all of those links to the description box where you can visit the websites, but there's some recipe ideas, there's some advice, and the food sheets that I mentioned about calcium and iron from the British Dietetic Association will also be linked there. A reminder that further nutrition webinars and recipe videos are available from the Public Health Dietitians group, so please do subscribe to our channel, Public Health Dietitians. Other relevant webinars following on from this one might be the fussy eating webinar, which can be a big problem in many households. So that gives you some practical advice on how to deal with fussy eating, or the lunchbox and snack ideas webinar, which I mentioned earlier, and gives you some practical ideas there. I just want to say thank you for watching this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. Thank you. Bye.